Hello, I'm Patrick Reams with ComTech Advisory. Welcome back to our latest episode of Conversations with Leaders in CTRM Technology. Today we're visiting with Mr. David Meyers, President of Enuit. David, thanks for being here.
Thank you, Patrick. I sure appreciate it.
Absolutely. So David, for those that aren't familiar with Enuit, although I think most people are probably familiar with you given your experience at Nucleus and Caminus, but for those that may not be as familiar with Enuit, could you give us an idea about what Enuit does, the products, the markets you serve?
Mm-hmm. Enuit is a local Houston-based company that services the ETRM markets. We have our headquarters here in Houston, but we also have offices in Beijing and in Singapore. Mm-hmm. And Beijing and Singapore offices currently are more in the crude oil markets, the oil products, but we also see metal concentrates in a broader context of commodity trading, coal, even precious metals, some of that stuff. So our product does span a bunch of different commodities, including natural gas and power for those domestic commodities, but also crude oil products and some of the other commonly traded commodity products that you might see.
So, what separates Enuit from your competition? Why do you guys win deals over your competition?
It's a good question, and we've been thinking about this quite a bit, obviously, as we go from one competitive arena to another. It seems to be the question of value. That's what it comes down to. When we can offer the things and features and functions that our competitions offer, but we can do so maybe perhaps more competitively priced. Perhaps we have a stronger argument how we can be successful in our implementations and shortening the implementation duration. It definitely gives us an edge in the competitive markets. And we see that particularly in the Asian market and most particularly in the Chinese market. The Chinese market tends to be a little more price sensitive. So value is perhaps the most important distinguishing characteristic.
So looking specifically at that Asian market, because I know you've had quite a bit of success there in recent years, is it the value proposition that's winning you those deals? Is it capability, functionality, local support?
Yeah, so definitely. So obviously if you don't have the functions, if you can't service those markets' needs, then obviously you're not going to be even invited to play at the table. But the value is really where it comes into. We can, I don't want to say the word guarantee, but it comes down to pretty close to that word. We can guarantee successful implementations, both because the products and features come out of box pretty standard, but also because the system is pretty bulletproof and hardened. So the standard features and functions are pretty strong in our product.
Okay. At ComTech, we look at the marketplace constantly and the trends, and one of the trends that we're really seeing are around disruptive technologies, things like blockchain, algo trading, machine learning, the whole view of digitalization of the marketplace. Are you seeing demand for these kind of technologies in those markets that you serve?
Absolutely. There's a lot of buzz now. A year ago, we didn't hear a single word about blockchain, but this year, it's pretty much foremost in everybody's talk. I guess there's consortiums of energy trading companies now that are devoted, I don't know how much money, but it's a considerable amount of money, it appears, to figuring out how to implement blockchain within the context of the business processes of energy trading companies. They see great value. I suppose it's in the reduction of the timing it takes to receive payment, a reduction of those receivable, payable timeframes. That seems to be the biggest argument, but perhaps there's other arguments to be made for blockchain too.
And I suspect at some point in the future you guys will eventually have to get involved in some of those.
We're actually already exploring, we're partnering with some technology companies that have some experience in blockchain, and we hope to leverage their understanding and knowledge. Plus we are We have some capability within our product already that supports the idea of blockchain. But the specific interfaces and how things talk to each other, we don't know what that is.
Those aren't established.
Yeah, right.
Good. Last question. Given your longevity in the market and everything that you've seen come and go in that time, how do you see the markets changing over the next 5 to 10 years? What's different? What's the same?
Yeah. So a couple of things. You mentioned blockchain, so that's obviously a big thing. I would say put movement towards subscription-based hosted environments for the product deployment. And I suppose that could be in the short term some sort of hosted enabled environment. Eventually it's got to be in a browser-based technology, I think, or supported on your iPhones, you know, iPads and that sort of thing. Those are big-ish items. We also see some data analytics capabilities, some asset optimization capabilities. We also see that there are certain commodities in the market that are beginning to be more widely traded than they once were, most particularly is LNG. LNG markets, and it appears they're almost on the cusp of explosion.
Well,
with the building of all the trains.
To coin a phrase.
Yeah, we don't want exploding. Yeah, we don't want exploding, but we are seeing. It's funny. There's a lot more demand for that sort of thing today. It appears that the Japanese and the Chinese markets are the biggest drivers in that.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Well, good. I appreciate it. I appreciate your time, and thanks for coming by today.
It's been my pleasure,
Absolutely.
and I appreciate all you do, Patrick.
Well, thanks so much. So that's it for us today with our latest edition of Conversations Leaders in CTRM Technology. Be sure to look for our future videos on the CTRMcenter.com website or on our corporate website at ComTechAdvisory.com. Thanks so much.